So you want to change your name. So now what? In Florida, you need to file what's called a petition for a name change. So what are the next steps? The next steps are, in Florida, is looking at the petition for name change. So the form itself is on the Florida Courts website, and that is flcourts.org. So people can do this on their own, but a lot of times they will come to us and they will say, hey, we want help to get through this process. And a lot of times it's they get stuck somewhere. They get stuck somewhere in the process because they do the paperwork. They fill out that initial form, and the petition itself asks a lot of questions. They want to know every address that you've lived at. They want to know if you've ever had a bankruptcy, if there's any criminal charges. They want to know about your education, family information. They want to know all this different stuff that they need to be able to do to be able to make a decision, because the judge is still going to be making a decision whether or not to grant to change your name. So like Kanye West, he just changed his name to Ye. So he had to get somebody in California. But anyways, different state. I don't know if he did it in Wyoming or California or wherever. But he wanted to go from Kanye West to Ye. Y-E. Kanye West, Ye. So he needs to file something, and just like you do, file something to change your name. You file a petition for a name change. You file the appropriate documents that need to be attached to it, and you file that in the court. You pay the filing fee. In Florida, it's currently, right now, as I'm filming this, $414 for the filing fee. So you pay that to the clerk of court, different counties all around the state. You pay it, you file the case, and the court's gonna wanna make sure before you file it and before you set the hearing that you have done a background check if you're not restoring back to a prior name. So if you're restoring back to like your maiden name, that's a little bit different. So the statute's a little bit different, and the background check and fingerprint portion is not necessary as it is if you are changing it to a different name. So if it's a different name rather than a restoration, you need to do a background check and be fingerprinted, get your little digits fingerprinted, and they check on it. They send those results to the clerk's office. The clerk gets them, they keep it there, and then when we file it, or if you file the case on your own, when you pay the filing fee and you file a petition, then they look to see if they've received the background check information, because you give a little tracking code when you get your fingerprints and your background check done. So that little control number goes to the clerk's office and they get the information, and it's just, it can take, as you can see, it could take some time for this to get done. It's just not like a perfect process that goes just automatically. It takes a little bit of time. So we've done a lot of them in our firm. So we have a good deal of, we have a good system in place. We have a good deal of information experience about it. So I just wanted to share a little bit about the process itself, because a lot of times people are able to do these on their own. So again, the courts have the information for you to be able to do. They have packets of information for you to be able to fill out, to be able to do the name change. However, sometimes people get to a part in the process, or even beforehand, they go, whoa. Yeah, I'm gonna pay somebody to be able to do that. And that's something that we do. We take the information that you provide to us, prepare the petition, provide it to you, and then you fill it out and have it notarized, and it's filed, the background check, all of that's done. We set the hearing. Now the final hearing, so it's a final uncontested name change hearing. So it is not a contested hearing. Now, if we are trying to change the name of a minor child and the other side has not consented to it, that's a whole different video. So we're not gonna get into that here. We have had to deal with this obviously in the past, and there are different provisions in the law for what happens with parents that consent and parents that do not consent. So not for purposes of this video. This is for an adult name change, and obviously you're agreeing with yourself, and you don't need the consent of anybody except for the courts if you're going to be changing your name. It leads you to the final uncontested hearing, not a contested hearing, final uncontested hearing where you're going in front of the judge. And usually these things, if everything is done properly, if you've filled out the petition, you've done the background check and all the fingerprinting and everything has been done, and filing fees paid, everything's good, you're either yourself or your attorney has noticed the hearing appropriately and everything's good to go, you're on the judge's calendar, it should take 5 or 10 minutes. So the judge is going to ask a couple questions, going to be dealing with whether or not you've ever had a bankruptcy, whether or not you have any criminal arrests and convictions, and that is something they want to make sure that what you're doing is you're not using the name change to get out of something. You're not using it for nefarious purposes. So you're not using it to try to get out of it and basically run away from your name. So those are the different things, and especially Florida also, I don't know about recently, but it's become more, they want to see if you are obviously a sex offender. So there is, some counties have affidavits that have to be filed whether or not you're a convicted sex offender. So that is something that the courts want to make sure that they have this background information. They want to make sure that you're doing this for the right purposes. You're not trying to get out of it because you got creditors all over you, and you're just trying to run away from your name. You're doing it for the right purposes. They're really just trying to make sure that it's not being done for an illegal purpose. It's only for a legal purpose. So after the judge hears the hearing and takes the information that they need to be able to enter the order, then if you've retained us, then we prepare the order, we submit it to the judge through the judicial order submission process. We submit that order, they sign off on it, and then we provide it back to you. And then on your petition for name change, the judge has said, yes, I'm granting your petition for name change, and we are now, as of that date, changing your name legally and officially.